Hello, my friends. Today I'm back with something a little bit different. I want to show you guys the other side of this Gemini, and that is my love for horror. So, I'm going to do a January movie and book wrap up. This will also include television shows. And whilst this isn't sticking to my brand of Drag Race, I am including some Drag Race in this wrap up and some Drag Race related shows. So, without further ado, let's get into it. The first movie I watched this month was Nosferatu. It came out on New Year's Day in Australia, therefore, I am counting it as a 2025 horror movie. This follows a man who is sent to Transylvania to do a business deal with Count Orlok. However, when he arrives, he realizes that his client is less than safe. This is an absolutely beautiful movie. I really like Robert Eggers' style. This is not the last Robert Eggers movie I watched this month. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was absolutely beautiful. I think my one issue with it was the pacing. It was a bit long and it could have been edited in parts. Then I saw Wolfman, directed by Lee Winnell, and I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Again, it was a beautifully shot film. It's more about the family relationships and tugging at your heartstrings than full on horror. It's about a family man who is bitten by a werewolf and must protect his family from his own transformation. In this case, the pacing for me was the biggest issue. It was very slowed down and then it would speed up and then it would slow down again. And it was just a bit too all over the place for me. But I did like the visuals and I love Lee Winnell. Then I watched Back in Action. So, me, my mum, and my sister, we have a movie club, and every month someone picks a movie and we watch it and discuss it. So, this month was my sister's turn, and she picked Back in Action, which is a new action comedy film on Netflix starring Jamie Foxx and Cameron Diaz. It's about two retired spies that get found out and must basically return to their profession and save their family. I mean, this was just a fun time. It's not something to be taken super seriously. I think that if you nitpick it, then it will fall apart very quickly. It's just a good time. It's just an entertaining watch. I think it got better as it went along, and I think it was pretty funny and wholesome by the end. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Then I watched The Northman, which is another Robert Eggers film, as I mentioned earlier. And this is less horror, it's more historical action, although it's not based on anything in real life. If you need to know what this movie is about, it is the Viking version of The Lion King. It has the same story. In fact, the lead character is called Amleth, which is an anagram of Hamlet. And we know that The Lion King was inspired by Hamlet. So basically, this Viking is avenging his father after his evil uncle killed him. Beautiful movie. We know Robert Eggers does the visuals well. I love all of his movies that I've seen. I think my favorite is The Lighthouse, though. But this was great. This was a great story. Again, it was a little bit long, could have been edited in parts, but I enjoyed it. And I think the acting from all the characters was great, especially Alexander Skarsgård. I gave this 3.5 out of 5 stars. And then last night I saw Companion, which I absolutely loved. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It's about an android that malfunctions and kills a bunch of people on a billionaire's compound, but there's so much more to it than that. I have no notes for this movie. I think it's a perfect movie. The one thing I would caution is don't watch the trailer because the trailer gives away so much of the plot. There are plot twists in this movie that I didn't see coming, but if I watched the trailer, I would have been spoiled for them. So just know that going into it. It's fun, it's gory, great performances, especially from Sophie Thatcher. Truly a highlight of the year already for horror. Now onto TV shows, I finished the latest season of Queer Eye. This one was set in Vegas and we had Jeremiah replace Bobby, and I absolutely love Jeremiah. I think he's one of my favorites. Honestly, give him a go. He's such a sweetheart. This was so fun. Lots of great, touching stories. As they say with Queer Eye, it's more than a makeover, and it really is. Then I watched Canada's Drag Race Season 5, and you guys know how I feel about Canada's Drag Race Season 5. I recently ranked them all, and this was second last. So, you know, it was fine, but it definitely wasn't one of my favorites. Then I watched season 3 of Tongue Tied with Pangina Hills. If you guys watched my 5 favorite WoW originals, I put this one number 1. I love this show. It's basically the hot ones for drag queens, and this was really fun. They had some really good guests this time, like Marina Summers and Miss Jade So. It was so good. Highly recommend. I also watched the latest season of Bring Back My Girls with T.S. Madison. She basically just sits down with casts from different Drag Race seasons and interviews them at DragCon. And it's just fun. Sometimes it gets a bit shady, sometimes there's a bit of drama. And I've seen every single season. I just love this show. Then I watched the latest season of Squid Game 2. And oh my God, I mean, this really is one of the best shows I've ever watched. I just love Squid Game. I need season 3 immediately. Luckily, it is coming out in June. I think that this season was phenomenal. It was really great at building tension and keeping me interested. And I think that they just did an excellent job with it. You know, we had to wait years for season 2, but it was so worth the wait. If you've never watched Squid Game, what are you doing? And now on to books. I read 11/22/63 by Stephen King. And oh my God, this might be one of my favorite books ever. I mean, my favorite Stephen King book is It, and then it's Misery, but this is third. And I have to tell you, like, this is a legacy piece for Stephen King. Like, this is a masterpiece. It is a time travel story about a man who goes back in time to prevent the Kennedy assassination. However, whenever he steps into the portal, it always takes him back to 1958, which means he has to spend several years in the past waiting for this event to prevent it. So, in that time, he falls in love, he gets a job, he buys a house, he makes friends. It's really realistic, but at the same time, he's building towards this huge event that is going to change the course of history forever. It is so good. Honestly, I'm so glad I finally read this book. It is over 700 pages, so it took me some time, but it was absolutely worth it. I highly recommend this. And if you don't like reading horror, this isn't really a horror story. It's more of an action thriller. And if you love time travel, this is the one for you. And then my Gemini is showing again because I've gone from Stephen King to light rom coms. That's right, there is definitely two sides to me. I read Funny Story by Emily Henry. This is probably my least favorite of hers. Happy Place is still my favorite. I think with this one, the tension was just not there. The two love interests hooked up within the first 50 pages, and I was hoping for more of a build up. This is about a woman who is left by her fiance. He leaves her for his best friend, and so she has nowhere to live. So she moves in with her fiance's new partner's ex. Both of them are scorned because their partners left them for each other, so they pretend to date to make their exes jealous. And as you can imagine, fiction starts to blur with reality. You know, they start to fall for each other. Like I said, it was fine. I gave it a 3 stars, but I just wish that it had been paced better. It was too fast. We need the build up. So, my friends, this is everything that I watched and read in the month of January. Let me know if you like these videos, and I'll keep doing them every single month. It's a little bit different, but there's still some drag race involved. And also, let me know what you watched and what you read this month. What was your favorite thing? What was your least favorite thing? Let's have a chat.